When I walked into Penn Station, there were policemen everywhere. And I don't just mean the regular ones patrolling any major city transportation. I mean blocking the entire way into the subway. One stood in front of each turnstile so no one could get through. And when I went up and asked, they wouldn't give me a reason. They just said the 1, 2, and 3 lines are closed. Just suddenly on a Friday afternoon. And for people who don't live here, usually when a subway train shuts down, there's like some kind of vague announcement posted somewhere, but you can still get through the turnstile to wait for the train, even if you're gonna have to be waiting like 3 more days. But this must have been serious, but somehow the seriousness of it didn't even register because I was so determined. I'd gotten here 30 minutes before I needed to because this was the day I'd been planning for months, and I was not going to let anything stop me. This was the day I had finally gotten a reservation at New York's #1 restaurant, as some lists claim. And you have no idea what I had to do to get it. A little more on that in a second. This restaurant is notoriously hard to get into. And if you don't show up, there's people lining up outside ready to take your spot the minute time is up. My reservation is at 5 p.m., the moment it opens. I actually hate it when something I love is really hard to get. Half the reason I want to experience these expensive things is to prove to myself in the future, like, yeah, that was not worth it. Do not spend this money next time. But that's how much I love this restaurant. It is awful to get into, which is like the worst thing a restaurant can be. I've been once before I got its spot on this top restaurant list. But even then it was hard. My friend emailed in from her secretary email, which gave them the impression that maybe we were some people who are a little more important than we were. But after I ended up on this list, it became near impossible to grab a reservation unless you reloaded right at 11:59 a.m. in 59 seconds. This is like the Taylor Swift Eras tour of restaurants, but Taylor, please do not go here. You will make it so much harder. Your fans go to all the restaurants you visit. And I wanted to hate it so much. I wanted it not to be worth it. But this restaurant and we went from enemies to lovers. And I had been thinking about it all year. So when my birthday came around, if anyone asked me if I had any wishes, I told them, do not spend a cent. Just take this link. If you reload on December 8th at 11:59 a.m. and get me any reservation, I will be over the moon. And by the time my birthday rolled around, I had a good army of about 12 people ready to reload and click this button. Basically, this day, I was going to be at this event that I couldn't get out of. I didn't know how the reception would be. But even with my army, I was worried. I even messaged this sketchy guy on Reddit who said he'd be able to get me a reservation for a price. Whatever that means, I was desperate. And just in case, for about 4 days a week, I decided to train. I wait on my phone till it hit 11:58. 59, and then I clicked the button as fast as I could. I tried my computer, my phone, my tablet, Wi-Fi versus 4G. There were a few times I was able to grab one, but it was always at 5 p.m. when I would still be at work. I wanted to wait until this special day when I would be off of work with a special visitor in town. When December 8th came, I was nervous all morning. I made sure to connect to the strongest Wi-Fi I could find in the building, and as the time got closer, I got so nervous, and I watched as the clock ticked down by the second. 11:59, 57, 58, 9. I reloaded and I clicked the first time I saw and waited. Click confirm. This is usually the moment where they say somebody click confirm before you. But it didn't. It told me, congratulations, I had a reservation. I swear I could barely feel my face. I felt like I was in another dimension and I had to stop myself from crying from joy. And then the DMs came in. Every single one of my friends wasn't able to press the confirm button in time. But that didn't matter. I was so grateful for them because without the vast numbers, I'm sure I wouldn't have gotten it at all. All I'd wanted was this help. And I got it. And I have the reservation. And for the next month, this was all that I could think about. Quick break from the video to say thank you so much for watching these stories. Every view means so much to me as I try to hit YouTube partner so I can start streaming and memberships and everything. I recently learned that only 3% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. So if you're wanting to see more, you're pretty much relying on the YouTube algorithm at this point, and you know how that can be. So if you want to stay in the loop and support my channel, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you so much. Okay, on to the video. So today was my reservation, and I was ready to go. Even though I had a visitor in town, I made sure to be careful. We didn't go to a Broadway show, the Statue of Liberty. We played it safe, stayed in, took a very quick trip to Macy's for some souvenirs, which was a straight shot to our destination. Or it should have been. Now, everything was thrown off. But I'd gotten to the station way early on purpose. I could salvage things. I opened my Uber app, and the app loads and loads. Searching for driver. Okay, so I try Lyft. And it's almost $50 for a 15-minute ride and no real specified time for a wait. All of New York City must be calling. So on to option C, which is just take a different train. There is another train line that goes near-ish to where we need to be, like a 10-minute walk away, but there's no time to think. We get to the platform, and let's say anyone who couldn't get an Uber was here, and I've never seen the platform so full. There's a track on each side, and I'm afraid that if one person trips, we're going to spill like dominoes onto the train tracks. There are no guardrails here. It looks like this line has delays too. Like we're at the trains, unlike the other lines, but it just has like a delayed thing next to all the times. Eventually it says our train won't be here for another 25 minutes, which means we are going to be late. And as I said, being late at this restaurant really isn't an option. As I'm standing there, I realize, okay, something serious must have been going on with the other line. So I Google, and it turns out that a train on the 123 line had derailed. Luckily, there were no serious injuries, but thinking about it while on this crowded platform was kind of scary. I call the restaurant. It goes to voicemail, where they tell me to email. I try emailing, but of course, it's right before opening, and they're not checking their email. They sent me an automatic confirmation text earlier today, so I try to text that back, and I just get an automated message telling me that any no-shows after 15 minutes late will lose their spot. And guess when we're supposed to get there? More people are funneling in, so we kind of inch towards the edge, which I know is dangerous, but we really want to be first on the train when it shows up. With this amount of people waiting and all the delays, there's a good chance that not everyone will be fitting inside this train even. So even if we get onto the train, we're still going to be late, like past the 15 minutes late. So I make a plan. Even though I'm wearing a fancy dress and heels, I am going to get out of the train as fast as possible and sprint over there. My visitor wasn't used to New York, and I knew I was our only hope. So finally, the train comes. We get in. It is packed, but I stand by the door, and when it stops, I make a mad dash. I am up the subway stairs before anyone else can block my way, and then I'm just sprinting down Broadway. It's a 10-minute walk, but I've got about 4 minutes until 5:15, and I am going to make each one of them count. I am watching for stoplights, but I'm also kind of feeling out where the cars are stopping and aren't coming, and I am doing dangerous things. I do not recommend this. At 5:16, just a minute after the cutoff time, I get to the restaurant. I am catching my breath because I am not a runner. And just as I walk up, they start bringing the waitlist line from outside in to take our empty spots. So even though my legs are giving out on me, I cannot let my seat go, and I walk in with them. There's a group of like very nicely dressed women who walk in and start asking if this was the line for reservations. And the host says no, come off to the side. So I just kind of go off to the side with them. They're probably like, who is this sweaty, gasping girl next to us? I check them in, and I realize, oh, they don't know that I'm not part of this party. It's small in here, but I try to like shuffle up. As I get to kind of like second before the host stand, the first woman in the line does something I could not expect. She turns around with her lips puckered and like swoops towards me. I duck out of the way, her eyes open wide, and she's like, oh my God, I am so sorry. I thought you were my friend. And I turn and I look at her friend, and we don't really look similar, but I guess our hair was the same color. She's like, I just wanted to give her a peck on the cheek. I am so sorry. I'm like, no, it's okay. I was actually just trying to get up there to tell the host that I'm not part of your group, and I also have a reservation. So she's super nice, helps me get the host's attention, but the host is like, but your full party isn't here. I'm still like out of breath, but also scared and startled. And I'm like, my other party member hurt their foot and they're trying to get here, but also the train derailed. The host is like, okay, just stand over here. So I stand over there. At first I think that they're going to seat me, but then someone else comes over and says, oh no, don't seat them without a full party. I'm standing here. It's kind of an awkward area where all the waitlist people are coming in to sit down. And I'm just watching them one by one being like, was that our table? Was that our table? And then I start getting texts from my visitor and they are completely lost. The restaurant is kind of confusingly located, but it is inching into the 520s at this point. So I call and I try to like, not loudly, but not subtly be like, oh, you're right here, right in the right place. Just turn around and walk 2 more minutes and you'll be here. Finally, come through the door, and suddenly I exist again to the hosts, and they seat me. They apologize for keeping us waiting. I'm still like sweating and disgusting, but they pretend to ignore that. And the food, it's amazing. Some things are even better than I remembered. The meat they had was so tender it practically melted in your mouth, and the vegetables were honestly some of the only times I've enjoyed eating vegetables, which probably means they were made with a lot of butter and sugar, but it's okay. I had a great time. No complaints on anything. Literally a perfect night. All of this anxiety was worth it. But before we leave, I needed to use the bathroom. Simple, right? Wrong. I don't think I had used the bathroom the last time I was here, so I asked a staff member and they pointed me down a hall. There, I see 2 bathroom doors. But before I get to either of them, there's a sign about gender neutrality and inclusivity and, use whichever bathroom you feel most comfortable with. And I'm like, okay, cool, great. But then I see that neither door has a gender marker. Instead, one has a picture of, I think, a wheelchair and a baby. The other just has a picture of a toilet. None of these are genders I identify with, but I push on the toilet one because that's what I need to use, and I realize it's locked. I tried the handicapped baby one, it's also locked. So I think, okay, if neither of these are gendered, they're both single toilet, then why does this sign exist? Oh, of course. There must be gendered ones with more stalls around the corner, but there's not. There is, however, a man in a suit in front of a either fancy-looking door or eerie-looking elevator. He sees me, says, "Bathroom?" I nod. He gestures to me to turn back around, and right as I do it, I see someone walk into one of the 2 bathrooms, and I'm like, oh great, cool, lost my spot. Shouldn't have tried going around the corner, it's fine. So I'm standing, looking out the window, just chilling, kind of in my thoughts, waiting for someone to come out of the restroom. And out of the corner of my eye, I see someone else walk into the door the other guy just walked into. How did I miss that he left? It's fine, I'll just wait for another one to open up. I keep waiting, I don't have my phone with me, so I'm basically just zoning out. And this waiter from the restaurant looks down the hall at me and he goes, "Are you waiting for the restroom? That one's free." And he points out the other door. And I'm like, what? Was I zoning out so badly that I just didn't notice somebody else leave? So I walk over to the door he was talking about and I try to open it. I can't. I look back at the waiter see? Told you it was locked. He gestures at me to try it again. I push my whole body weight into it and realized that probably neither of the doors were locked when I got there. I was just waiting and checking for so long for no reason. What's wrong with me? So I get into the bathroom. Honestly, it's beautiful. It's spacious, low lit with black marble. And I know this sounds a little stupid, but I was having a lot of trouble locking the door. When there's a lock on a door, you usually push it in the direction of the door frame to lock it into the door frame. But this door's lock will only push away from it. And I'm like, is this actually locking? I just had to dangle the handle a little bit to test to see if it's locked. And I guess this is the kind of lock that automatically unlocks when you push down on the handle from inside. And as I unlock my own bathroom door, by complete coincidence, someone else is throwing their whole body weight to get the door open. And you will never guess who it was. This head comes through, nearly bonks me in the head. And the woman is like, "Oh my God, I am so sorry." It's her. The one who tried to kiss me. I'm like, "Don't worry, sorry. I'm just trying to lock." And I go back in, I lock it by turning it away from the door frame for whatever reason. I pray that it works, and luckily no one else broke in. By the time I'm out, she'd gotten herself into another bathroom, so I just tiptoed back to my table in shame. And despite all this struggle, I would do it again. Eat at the restaurant. Also use the bathroom, but now I know how it works. What's the fanciest restaurant you've been to? Were you normal there? Like I wanted to be? Or were you not? Like I was? Would love to hear about that. Make sure to like and subscribe for more story times. If you wonder anything about my life that might make a good story time, throw it in the comments. Thank you so much again for watching.